Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Better Off Dead for Tuesday, October 14th. Not a good day yesterday. We were a half and 2.5, basically, because the Tampa Bay Lightning, I mean, that probably should have been a winner, although the Bruins did outshoot and outhit them in the game, but part of the reason they outshot them is because they were way behind, so they started getting in desperation mode, and they actually almost came back. Tampa had a 3-0 lead and then a 4-1 lead. Bruins actually cut it to 4-3, and then neither team scored in the third period. So Tampa did win on the money line. So if you took the money line, which I think got a little bit cheaper after I did the show, you would have won. The way that I did it with the split bet was still a winner because you won on the money line part of it, which was like the bigger chunk of the bet. So it was a slight winner. So we did start out with a small win on that one if you did it the way that I did, although I should have done it differently. Something that I don't know, I haven't gotten in the mindset of doing it, which I have done it before, though, is we probably should have gone with Tampa Bay to win in regulation. That's another way to do it in hockey when you have a big favorite. You could take them to win in regulation, but then, of course, that means if it goes into overtime, you lose your bet. Even if they wind up winning in overtime, they got to win in regulation, which Tampa did. But that is a way to get a big favorite and, like, cut the price way down, because you're going to pay less money for that to happen, right? So, like, for Tampa, I think it was close to, like, a pick-em price if you wanted to do it. That's probably the way we should have done it. That would have been a win if we did it that way. So that's probably what I should have done. But I track my stuff on Action Network, and, like, Action Network has issues trying to track that unless you, like, go through their, like, interface that actually interfaces through, like, the actual book that you're using, which you can do. But, yeah, it is definitely annoying. And then everything else about the day was annoying is the Toronto Blue Jays, they were down 3-0 in the first inning, which is ridiculous. And they actually they got screwed by the umpire, the home plate umpire. There should have been a called strike 3, I think, on the first batter of the game, and it was a ball. And then everything just unraveled after that. And Savage was not as good as he should have been, or as good as he was. That was his worst outing of his career, man. I mean, he gave up 3 runs in the first inning after that bad call. He did settle down, and Seattle actually tied the game. They scored right away. They scored 2 back in the bottom of the first, I'm pretty sure. And then they tied it in the second inning, so it was 3-3 going all the way into the 5th inning. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be at worst a push here. Maybe we should have gone full game on Toronto is what I was thinking at the time. Then Savage just lost it, man. I think he was still in there in the 5th inning, and he gave up 3 more runs in the 5th inning, or at least he put some guys on base. Some of those guys scored. I forget if they took him out at that point and put somebody else in, but it was bad. Seattle pushed it to a 6-3 lead, and they never looked back, man. This Seattle team, they're doing this without Brian Wu in the rotation. They're doing it after they had to play 15 innings on Saturday night or whatever, and now they've won both games on the road at Toronto, even though they're not even a good road team. I think the series is over, dude. I know in baseball it's easier to come back from down 2-0 than in other sports because it's a closer sport. baseball and hockey, I guess, are both a little bit easier. Certainly easier than basketball. Baseball may be the easiest to do it, but when you're down 0-2, losing twice at home, yeah, it's not a good situation. I think it's pretty much over for the Blue Jays here. And then and they wound up losing that game, I think 10-3 or something like that. And then we lost on the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. Columbus on Columbus Day can't get it done. I think they were the right side still. They were a home underdog, and the game was close the whole way. They had the stats in the game. It was a slight stat advantage for Columbus in the game, I think, with the shots, with the hit advantage, and they were never losing by enough that it was like, oh, they're in like desperation mode now. No, they were never losing by, well, they were losing by 2 goals in the final minute of the game, but besides that, it was either tied or they were losing by 1 for the entirety of the game. Besides that, they gave up a late goal to make it 3-1. Which I think wasn't actually an empty netter. I think they didn't pull their goalie. And then Columbus actually scored to make it 3-2 after that. So if they hadn't given up that other goal, we could have been looking at maybe an overtime situation, and maybe they would have gotten there. It sucked. But we move on to today, although today I actually don't have anything for today. I don't like the board at all today. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, correct. The Tampa and Bruins. Yeah, you had Tampa as a road favorite, and the records looked completely disparate from what the odds were. So that is something to look at. Yeah, win in regulation probably should have been the way to do it. Moving forward, maybe I'll give out more regulation hockey plays. The over hit easily. I mentioned I did agree with it, even though the market was disagreeing with it. I wasn't like my favorite look in that game, obviously, but yeah, the over happened pretty easily in Seattle and Toronto. I mean, you had 5 runs in the first inning, so at that point, it was like you're pretty much good at that point, unless something really crazy happens. Jordan, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I just started, man. I'm not going to have any plays today, but I am going to cover the card today, or the board, I should say. Let's do it. Let's get into it. It is the breakdown. Surprisingly, I don't have any plays. Like, I'm not surprised that I don't have any college football plays on this slate. I'm not surprised that I'm passing on one baseball game because I just don't really see an angle I like. But NHL, we have a decent amount of games today. I just don't love the board at all, man. So I'm passing. We do have game 2 of the NLCS here tonight. Dodgers won last night 2-1. So I mentioned I did lean to the Dodgers. And I was correct, by the way, that Milwaukee used Quinn Priester as their main pitcher yesterday, although they had an opener pitch before him. And then they used Priester. And he wasn't bad, but they still lost the game 2-1. Snell was very good. Snell, I think, went 8 innings and had like 10 strikeouts. So, yeah, Snell was really good. Pretty much, I would say he kind of saved the Dodgers bullpen. The Dodgers actually used 2 relief pitchers to, I believe, just pitch in the 9th inning. Unless it wasn't extra innings, right? I don't think it was. Let me look real quick. No, it wasn't. So, I don't know. For whatever reason, the Dodgers mixed and matched, I guess, and they used 2 relievers to close the game out. So, the Dodgers have the more rested bullpen here because Milwaukee went with sort of a bullpen game yesterday with an opener, and then Priester went like 3 or 4 innings. Then they used some of their other guys. They used their closer. So even though Milwaukee has the better bullpen, the bullpen edge in this game is kind of negated a little bit because they used more relief pitchers and for more pitches. So that's not great if you're looking at Milwaukee here. Of course, the Dodgers, they're the better offense, although Milwaukee's offense is pretty good. Milwaukee not quite as good at home. Starting pitching here, it looks like a good starting pitching matchup. Like on the surface, I was looking at this and thinking maybe an under is going to make sense here. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is pitching for the Dodgers. Good season for him, 2.49 ERA. 0.99 whip. The one thing you have to be aware of with him is it's only his 2nd season in the majors, and he threw way more innings this year than he did last year. So the question is he wearing out yet? And I'm going to say he's not. I mean, he had a .67 ERA in September. So even though his walk number did increase, it was mostly one game against San Francisco where that happened. His strikeout rate was still really high, well over 1 per inning. So he was still good. He has a 2.53 ERA in the playoffs so far, 11-3 strikeout walk ratio in 2 outings. Wasn't as good against Philly last time out, but he's been pretty good in the playoffs. He's good on the road, 2.13 road ERA. So I'm not going to say he's wearing down. I don't think he is. He is good on the road. The problem is he's not good against the Brewers. Oh, it's only 7 at-bats, but a lot of other guys have faced him. He has no strikeouts against them, 2 walks, a 571 batting average allowed, 1,810 OPS, and a home run from Vaughn against him. So he really has struggled against the Brewers. I know it was only 1 outing, though, against them. I think it was just 1 outing. But this is what it was. It was at Milwaukee, which is where we are today. In July, he went 2/3 of an inning. He gave up 3 earned runs, so the defense hurt him as well because there were 2 unearned runs. But he allowed 4 hits, a home run, 2 walks, no strikeouts. Bad. Very bad. So I don't know how much we trust Yamamoto, although I know it was a very small sample size, so maybe there's not a whole lot to take away from that. But I do worry about that a bit. He's going up against Milwaukee's ace, Freddie Peralta, who had a really good season, 2.7 ERA, 1.08 whip. I mean, if you're the Brewers and you're down 0-1 here at home, he's the guy that you want. He was really good at home, 1.77 ERA at home. Hasn't been that good in the playoffs, though. 15-5 strikeout walk ratio is all right, but he's allowed 5 earned runs, so he has a 4.66 ERA in 2 outings, although they were both against the Cubs, so he may do better in this outing. He's also thrown more innings than he has ever before. He topped last year's innings pitched total now by 3 innings. So I think that was just in the regular season, but something to be aware of. I mean, Peralta is a veteran, though. Like, he's been around for such a long time. I don't know that it's really going to affect him, but he wasn't good against the Cubs in the playoffs at the very least. Against the Dodgers, generally, he is quite good. 139 career at-bats, 34-14 strikeout walk ratio, 216 average allowed, 669 OPS allowed. So Peralta does look like he's probably going to – he lines up to pitch pretty well here, I would say. The money is coming in on the Dodgers, though. They're up from down from -125 to -122 as a road favorite. 54% of tickets on Milwaukee, 82% of the cash on the Dodgers. I'm not quite sure that I see that, although I do think the Dodgers, because of the way that the bullpen usage worked out yesterday, I might say that they do have a little bit of a bullpen edge here, but I think Peralta has the edge in the starting pitching. So I would actually kind of disagree with that market read, and I was slightly lean to Milwaukee in the first 5 innings only. Might be the way I would lean in this one, just playing with Peralta out there. But Yamamoto might do fine here. I mean, that one start could have been a bit of an outlier, but I don't know. It is a little bit of a cause for concern there. And Yamamoto, I mean, he's still not that experienced with pitching in the playoffs. I think he was there last year, though. I don't know if he made starts in the playoffs last year, if he was in the bullpen, but I think he has made other playoff appearances, I think, including last year. So I don't think he's going to be like, he's not going to be he's not going to succumb to the pressure of the stage. And then I was thinking about maybe an under in this game in the first 5 innings, but you're looking at a very low total of 7 because it is the playoffs. And I mean, I worry a little bit about Yamamoto's numbers against Milwaukee. 54% of tickets, 58% of cash on the over. If you do want to go over in this game, I think you got to do it full game, though, and just roll with the bullpens in there, too, because both bullpens, there are reasons to kind of not trust either of them in this one. With the Dodgers having a mediocre bullpen and Milwaukee having used a lot of their guys yesterday. So that's kind of the way that I look at that game. I don't love the game, to be honest. Red Wings plus 1.5. Only needed to work on 1 or 2 fundamentals. I don't like that statement, because that's almost the coach like overvaluing his players, like saying like, oh, like we're this good, except we just have to fix like this one thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't like that. I like it when a coach says like we have a lot to still work on here. Like basically the mindset, like you're chasing perfection, basically. I did not like the Red Wings in that game at all. I'm pretty surprised that they won, to be honest. I like Toronto in that game in the quick revenge spot. I thought the Toronto side made sense in that game. Hockey today, I don't even know where to begin with this hockey slate, to be honest. We do have Toronto, of course, lost that game yesterday at home. They're playing today, so we do have a situation where they're on a back-to-back. Toronto outshot Detroit in this game 40-15, by the way, and out-face-off them with 62.3% of the face-offs and out-hit Detroit. So, again, I will repeat that I think Toronto was the right side in this game just based on the stat line here. It was actually complete domination from the Toronto side in this game. Still absolutely shocked that they didn't win this game. And I don't think, like, the amount of shots was just because they were losing 2-0. Like they were losing 1-0 until the third period. So it wasn't like they were just in total desperation until maybe they were down 2-0 in the third period. But even then, I don't know if you quite go into that mode. I mean, to me, I think Toronto dominated that game, but Toronto, they're on a back-to-back now, which I don't love, obviously. Playing a Nashville team who sucks, but Nashville, I think, has a day off. Toronto's playing a third game in 4 days, although at least they are playing at home. It's still a difficult spot, though. Nashville is 2-0, but I mean, or 2-0-1, but I don't think they're as good as they look. I mean, they beat Columbus. They lost to Utah in OT. They played yesterday, too, though. Actually, I thought they were off yesterday, and they're traveling from Ottawa to Toronto. Back-to-back road games. They're playing 3 games in 4 days, 4 games in 6 days. That's a difficult spot for Nashville as well. I mean, I don't love anything that I'm seeing in these games, man. I really don't. I looked at these games earlier. I'm like, I don't know, man. Toronto's a big favorite. They're down from -211 to -191. 84% of tickets, only 71% of the cash on them. So money's coming in on Nashville. For what it's worth, I don't think I love it. And you might be looking at 2 backup goalies in that game too. I mean, I haven't looked at the starting goalies because I didn't see anything that I liked at all here. So I kind of shouldn't even talk about that game, to be honest, because I don't really see anything here. Seattle, I actually kind of see an angle where I kind of wanted to fade Seattle here. Seattle coming off an overtime win over Vegas, which is a pretty big win. They've had 2 days off, so they are rested, and they are starting a road trip. And usually you are focused when you start a road trip, but it is their first road game of the season. They're having to travel all the way east to face Montreal, and they're coming off that big win over Vegas. And sometimes when you have extra rest and you're on a win streak like that, it can kind of stop your momentum a little bit, and you're just kind of basking in that win. So I don't like Seattle in this game. Montreal, they don't really have any great wins yet. I mean, they beat Detroit and Chicago. They played a lot better against Toronto than it looked on the final score, though. There were 2 empty net goals in that game. Montreal, I still think, is a decent team. I mean, they made the playoffs last year. They've had multiple days off, but they're returning home from a road trip, which normally I would say you want to fade a team returning home from a road trip because they might get distracted, have to get back to family life. But this is their home opener, so I actually don't think that's going to be the case in this game. So I actually like Montreal in that game, but the money does not agree with me. They're up from -145 to -147, 70% of tickets on them, only 61% of the cash. So I'm disagreeing with the market on some of these games, man. It's just, I don't know. I don't understand the market opinion on that one, to be honest, except for the fact, I guess maybe it's because it's a road trip return where usually you do want to fade a team when they return home from a road trip, but it was a road trip to start the season. It wasn't a very long road trip. I still think the home opener is a boost. Charles, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Edmonton and the Rangers is actually a pretty good game, but it is interesting that I do think the Rangers are better than people think they are, but Edmonton is actually a road favorite here, up from -113 to -135. 67% of tickets, 78% of the cash on them. So Edmonton is taking the money here. Interesting to see. I don't think either team played yesterday. Am I right about that? I don't know. I get everything confused now. Yeah, Edmonton's been off since the 11th, where they got their first win against Vancouver. They're starting a road trip, but in this case, yeah, it's a first road game. I mean, but again, it is a focus spot when you go out on the road, and the Rangers still carry a lot of weight behind their name. So I do think both teams are going to show up for this. The Rangers, they lost in that isolated Sunday game, but they're now playing a third game in 4 days, though. And they actually are 0-2 at home so far, which is ridiculous. But Quick played in that last game, so you're going to get Shesterkin back in net in this one for the Rangers. So you're going to get their starting goalie in this one. So the Rangers should have a goaltending edge in this one. Kind of difficult, man. And the fact that they not only are they 0-2 at home, they haven't even scored a goal at home yet. I mean, it almost seems to me like something's got to give here, man. Where I think the Rangers will play a better game here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I totally agree with the market read on this one either, to be honest, on Edmonton. I don't have much of a read on the side. It almost seems like you're getting a bit of value on the Rangers as the home underdog here with the fact that they underperformed their talent level last year. Edmonton, everybody just knows Edmonton is good and they score a lot. In this one, I might actually lean to a Rangers over their team total in this one because you got to think that's what they're focusing on. They haven't even scored a goal yet at home. You got to think they're just like, we have to improve this offense. And Edmonton, they're not a very good defensive or goaltending team and having to go on the road here. So I might actually go Rangers over their team total in that one. I don't know what their team total is in the game, but you probably would need them to score over 2.5 maybe in that one, something along those lines. So that actually might be the way I would look at that game. I don't do a whole lot with totals or team totals, though, in hockey. Jeffrey likes the Flyers. They had 2 empty net goals. I haven't looked at that one yet. I might be looking to go against the Flyers in their next game, though, if they pulled off an upset. Tampa Bay at Washington. Of course, we know Tampa played yesterday. They beat the Bruins and should have beaten them more easily in a way, but the Bruins actually did outstat them, like I mentioned, although some of it was because they were down 3-0. So I do think the Bruins started just firing a bunch of shots. But Tampa Bay, by the way, they didn't go with Vasilevsky, so the predicted starting goalie matchup didn't actually happen in that when they went with Johansson. So Tampa is going to have Vasilevsky back in net for this one, but they are playing a third game in 4 days. They're playing back-to-back road games, having to travel to Washington. It's still a big game, though, because Washington's been good recently, and they still have Ovechkin there. But Ovechkin, what is he, 42? He's got a gray beard. He looks like he's like 300 pounds now, and he's still just out there, like, even though he's not even fast anymore, he's just out there just destroying dudes, just hitting them. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just insane, man. Washington's coming off a nice win over the Rangers in that isolated Sunday game, which is a pretty big win. Now they're returning home, although they're only on the road for the weekend, and they just went to New York Saturday, Sunday, so kind of a quick trip back home. This game, money coming in on Tampa Bay, 62% in tickets, 54% of the cash on Washington. They're down from -121 to -108. I think the reasoning for that is just I think some of it is the record disparity again. The odds makers are kind of telling you these teams are close to evenly matched. I think you could argue Tampa might actually be the slightly better team, although looking at their record, you wouldn't realize that because they're 1-2 and Washington's 2-1. I do think Washington was a bit overvalued last year. I think they overperformed a bit, and then of course I picked against them in the playoffs. I had them losing in the second round of the playoffs, which is what happened. So yeah, I mean, all of that going on here. Washington used their backup goalie yesterday, or 2 days ago, Lindgren. So you're going to get both starting goalies in this game, I would imagine. Thompson against Vasilevsky, it looks like is what it's going to be in this one. Tough game to read, man. The money is saying Tampa Bay. I'm not going to necessarily disagree with it on that one because I just don't have a strong read on it. So I guess I would maybe slightly agree with that, but it's a difficult read on that one. What am I talking about every game now here? I don't know if I want to talk about every single one of these games, but Minnesota at Dallas is the last like actual good game here. Dallas, you got to think they could be in a little bit of a letdown spot here, which is what I was thinking. I looked at this game and I was thinking I was going to go against Dallas again because I went against them in their first 2 games and we lost both of them by a 5-4 margin, including the overtime one. But Dallas went on the road and they beat Winnipeg and Colorado. Those are both big wins, man. Now they're at home against Minnesota, but it is their home opener. So, I mean, they did have a bit of a travel situation there, though. They went all the way up to Winnipeg and they were out. They were away from home for almost a week. So in this case, it does look like it is a little bit of a letdown / return home possible distraction spot here for Dallas. So it doesn't look like a good spot to me for Dallas, although they do have 2 days off. But those are huge road wins to start the season, man. And they do have Vancouver next. And I actually think Vancouver might be a team that kind of takes more of your focus than Minnesota does, even though Minnesota was fairly good last year as far as like they made the playoffs and whatever. But I still think Minnesota overperformed. Minnesota's off to a 2-1 start. They just won in a shootout yesterday, though, over the Kings. So I don't love the Minnesota situation either. So they're actually doing similar travel to Dallas here because Dallas just was up in Winnipeg and then Colorado, and they're coming back home with 2 days off. Minnesota's having to travel down from Minnesota to Dallas, although it's a start of a long road trip, and you do want to get the road trip off on the right foot. It's against one of the best teams in hockey, Dallas, so you know Minnesota is going to be focused on this game. Minnesota used Wallstedt in net last night, so it will be Gustafsson again this time in net. So they will go with their starting goalie this time. I think Ottinger will be in there for Dallas as well because they had multiple days off. So I would imagine it's both starting goalies in this one as well. I don't love the spot for either team, man. I mean, I would probably slightly lean to Minnesota, even though they're on a back-to-back, which sounds crazy. The money does kind of agree with that. Dallas is a big favorite, up from minus 184 to minus 186. Again, the odds makers basically telling you that Minnesota's just kind of an overrated team again because they're this big of an underdog. I know Dallas is one of the absolute best teams, though. 89% of tickets, only 81% of the cash on Dallas. So the money's coming in against Dallas there. You get a big underdog price on Minnesota if you do want that. I mean, my hesitation is mostly back-to-back with travel. I don't love that spot. It is a third game in 4 days as well, although they had 2 of them at home. That's about it for the analysis on this. I don't really love the last 2 games there either. Carolina, just a huge favorite against this pathetic San Jose team, although San Jose has only lost in overtime so far. And then Pittsburgh and Anaheim is just an ugly fucking game, man. I mean, sometimes you do find angles on ugly games like that, but I really don't see one in that game. So I just don't have anything there. So we'll go to college football. Rangers over 3.5 at plus 182. That's pushing it, man. I mean, hockey, goals are worth a lot in hockey. I would, if the line is 2.5 at like close to a pick'em price, that's the way that I would probably do it. I expect the Rangers to, at some point, improve offensively. But yeah, I'll look at, what did the Flyers do yesterday? I'll just look at that real quick. They beat Florida 5-2, yeah, so I think we'll be looking to potentially fade the Flyers in their next game. What did this game look like statistically? I never looked at it. It was 2-2 in the third period, and then, yeah, they got 2 empty net goals, so it was not a blowout like it looked on the scoreboard. Again, you do have to dive into that. Like, 5-2 looks crazy, but when it's 2 empty net goals, it starts meaning a lot less. Florida was way more physical. Look at the hit disparity in this game, 24-8, and Florida did have more shots and more of the face-offs too. So looks to me like it was a misleading result in that one. So I think Philadelphia is going to be a fade in their next game. Don't know who it's against, but something to look at. It's against Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a good team, so you might not get a ton of value on Winnipeg, but something to think about looking forward there. Over 2.5 is at minus 142. Do they have like other alternate lines? Can you get it at over 2 instead of 2.5, or do they not allow that? I'm trying to just find whatever the price is that's closest to like, or can you get it at over 3? I mean, instead of 2.5 or 3.5, over 3 seems like it's going to be the closest to being like an even money type of situation. Over 6.5, yeah, that's not going to happen, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, I do think in some way an over makes sense in that one for Ranger team total, just because you're kind of fading what has happened in their first 2 home games. College football, we actually have 3 games. The Tuesday college football has begun, and it's not the MAC, which I thought it was. The MAC usually has some action on Tuesday later in the season, but not this time. We have Conference USA and Sun Belt games. It's all hooks on them. That sucks, man. They're hooking you. They're all hookers. Maybe if you look at different books, maybe they'll have some other options. I don't know. The over 2.5 at minus 145, 142 doesn't seem terrible to me, though. It's a little bit of a price, but I don't know. Tonight, 7 p.m., we do have New Mexico State at Liberty in this first game up. And this one, a little bit of a misleading, line versus what the team's records are. New Mexico State's 3-2 to start the season. Liberty is 2-4. So you're going to be looking at that, and then you see Liberty is almost a double-digit favorite here, and it's like, well, why? Because they're a below 500 team against an above 500 team, but they're a 10-point favorite. They're down from 10.5 to 9.5 here. So it kind of looks like a misleading line here on Liberty. So that kind of has me looking towards the Liberty side just because the line looks too big as far as like the perception would be concerned. The money looks like it's coming in on New Mexico State, though, even though they're public as well. 70% of tickets and 87% of the cash on New Mexico State. So the money's kind of coming in on New Mexico State. So that gives me a little bit of pause because I would be looking at the Liberty side, I think. Liberty's a team that can run the football, and New Mexico State is bad at stopping the run. New Mexico State throws the football mostly, and Liberty is good at stopping the pass. So I think Liberty, on both sides of the ball, I think Liberty's strength matches up pretty well against New Mexico State. I think the only problem is because New Mexico State throws the ball, that means there's more like potential they can backdoor that cover at the end, because they're going to be just airing it out if they're behind in the end of the game. But to me, I mean, I kind of do still need a Liberty in this one on the side. Looking at the scheduling dynamics, I mean, Liberty, they played the more difficult schedule, man. I mean, they've played 4 road games in their 5 FBS games. Yes, they finally got an FBS win. They played in the middle of the week last week on Wednesday. So, yeah, they're on a short week. So maybe that's part of the reason why the money's coming on in New Mexico State, because Liberty does not have a rest edge here. But people might have watched that game on Wednesday night because it was one of the only football games on Wednesday, and it was a horrendous game. It was ugly. They beat UTEP 19-8. So I think that might have people kind of not wanting Liberty. Like, how could you lay 10 points with a team that only won 19-8 in their last game? Their only other win was against FCS Maine. But, I mean, look at their schedule, man. They had to go on the road to Jacksonville State, Bowling Green. Not that those are great teams, but those still aren't exactly easy matchups. They lost to James Madison, who was a legitimately good team, although I know what happened to them over the weekend. They didn't look great. And then they lost to Old Dominion on the road. Old Dominion's legit as well. And it looks like Vasco either didn't play or got hurt in that game because Merdinger was the murderer, was Liberty's quarterback of note in that game, even though his stats weren't even good. I think Vasco looks like he got hurt against JMU, actually, because he only had 37 yards in that one. In a game where you're losing, that seems unlikely. But it looks like he came back in their last game. So whatever happened to Vasco, he is back. He played in the UTEP game. So their starting quarterback for Liberty is back here. As far as New Mexico State, they do have rest here. So that's like the one advantage that they might have is they haven't played since Thursday the 2nd. So I think they had a bye week in here. But they did go into the bye on a good note. They beat Sam Houston going into the bye. Although Sam Houston, not a good team. But New Mexico State did handle them at home on a primetime Thursday game. But that almost has me still kind of looking towards Liberty, because if people watch that game, they saw New Mexico State look really good on an isolated Thursday game, and Liberty looked awful last week. So to me, that's why the public is on New Mexico State, other than the fact that their record is better than Liberty's too. Even though the money looks like it's slightly coming on New Mexico State, I slightly disagree with it. I would lean to the Liberty side slightly on the side here. New Mexico State also, they've played a weaker schedule than Liberty has. The best team they faced was Louisiana Tech on the road, and they got annihilated in that game. They lost on the road to a fairly weak New Mexico team, and they beat Tulsa and Sam Houston at home. Those teams are not good. So they also have not done well on the road. They're 0-2 on the road. So there is definitely a reason why Liberty is favored here. Jeffrey is saying he likes I liked the under on the one last week. Yeah, correct, I did. Liberty and UTEP. I'm not a huge college football totals guy, but that one was correct. No one calls it old. What do you mean? Oh, Old Dominion, ODU. Yeah. ODU. I'm not from Virginia, so I don't know. I call them Old Dominion. ODU. I call FAU Florida Atlantic too, and I call FIU Florida Illinois when they're playing tonight too. In this New Mexico State Liberty game, I probably also lean to an under. The money is strongly coming in on the under here. Again, I don't do a whole lot with totals, but we're looking at the lowest total of the night by far. It is up a little bit from 45.5 to 46.5, especially if it hits that key number of 47. I think taking a shot with the under kind of makes sense here. 52% of tickets on the over, but 70% of the cash on the under. The public kind of going with the fact that they've seen New Mexico State score some decent point totals here, but I don't think New Mexico State matches up well against Liberty. Like I said, New Mexico State cannot run the football, and they don't even really try to, and Liberty is good at stopping the pass, so I think New Mexico State might struggle to score in this one. Liberty, at the very least, even though they've been ugly so far, they've been decent defensively. Their offense has some issues, though. But Liberty, their offense is a little bit more balanced too. But I mean, I don't know if their offense is going to be terrific in this game necessarily. So I do think an under kind of makes sense in that one. Yeah, I got to sound cool. ODU, FIU, and FAU. Yeah. Well, I do it so that there's no confusion as to what I'm talking about. The second game up on ESPN2 here is Arkansas State at South Alabama. We got a Sun Belt game here. Arkansas State, I'm looking to go against Arkansas State in this game, and I was actually considering this I was considering giving out a play on South Alabama, but the market is completely against it, so I'm just going to leave it alone. So, unfortunately, I don't have an actual play today, but my strongest opinion in college football is laying the points with South Alabama in this one. Arkansas State, they finally got their first FBS win. They had lost all 4 of their FBS games. Granted, yeah, they faced Arkansas and Iowa State. You didn't expect them to win those games. Iowa State is a bit overrated, though, and Arkansas State did actually play really well against them and only lost by 8. But this Arkansas State team, they're not good, man. We went against them on my show the week after that because I thought it was a big hangover spot after that huge performance. They lost outright at Kennesaw, which is not a good sign, and we got that one right on the show. Then they lost at UL Monroe as well. So this Arkansas State team, they're bad. They're 0-3 on the road. They're coming off a huge win over Texas State, too. Like, if you look at this game, this was last week. Arkansas State at home, they were 13.5, 14.5 point underdogs, actually, and they upset Texas State. Huge upset win. But if you dig into the stats here, they got outgained by over 100 yards by Texas State in this game. Arkansas State was turnover-free in the game, but it looks like kind of a misleading result. They kind of got outplayed in this game. I don't know if maybe they had some fluke touchdown or something. They won with a touchdown right at the end, too, so it was a very dramatic win for Arkansas State at the end. So I think they're in a bad spot after that win. That was last Saturday. So they haven't played since last Saturday. I think the same is the case with South Alabama, though. So I think even though South Alabama is a pretty big opponent to be facing because they're usually pretty good in the Sun Belt since like the conference realignments and whatever, Arkansas State coming off that huge win, I just don't know they can put in another effort like this again. South Alabama, I mean, you look at their record, they're 1-5, and like, who's going to want to lay 8-7 points with South Alabama when they're 1-5? Well, if you look at their schedule, it has not been easy. They played Tulane, Auburn, North Texas, and then last week against Troy. And South Alabama was an underdog in every one of those games for sure. They were a double-digit underdog at home against Tulane. So they've played almost all good teams. They only have a win against an FCS team, Morgan State, which is not a good sign. But South Alabama, I mean, they're not that bad of a team. They're fairly balanced on offense, even though their passing attack isn't great because they lost Gio Lopez to North Carolina, so he's doing great over there with Bill Belichick. South Alabama can run the ball decently. They're coming off an overtime loss to Troy last Saturday, which that was a close matchup. South Alabama was actually a road favorite in that one, so they were not an underdog in that one. They were an underdog in the other losses they took, except for the Coastal Carolina one. But if you remember, I talked about that game on my show. They lost at home to Coastal Carolina, but South Alabama was coming off that monster game against Auburn where they came within 16 points at Auburn. They played their guts out in that game against Auburn, an in-state big brother. That was like their biggest game of the season. So I knew they were like ripe for a hangover spot in that Coastal Carolina game, and they got upset by Coastal Carolina. So you can kind of explain that bad performance. And they had North Texas next, which was another big game. So you can kind of explain that. South Alabama is the better team here. They've played the more difficult schedule. They're back at home. They get to host a game on ESPN2 on prime time. They're still looking for their first FBS win. So I do think South Alabama is going to be hungry in this one. I think they're the better team. Arkansas State could be in letdown mode, even though I know they're going to be pumped up a bit to play on ESPN2 on an isolated game, but still, I don't know if they can put in that effort 2 games in a row, man, when they're not a very good team and they just the way that they won that game, pulled off that upset against Texas State. They seem to be ripe to be picked off in this one. South Alabama has 69% of tickets on them, though, and 67% of the cash is on Arkansas State. So the money's coming in on Arkansas State. So I don't like that the market is completely disagreeing with me on this. Because I don't agree with it. I would lay the points with South Alabama. They're down from 8 to 7.5 here. You might be able to find a 7 which of course would be preferable because you don't really necessarily want to lay the hook, especially when the market is disagreeing with you. If you can find a 7, that would be a lot better on the South Alabama side, and you might get it. I mean, especially if the professional money is going to drill the line down towards Arkansas State, you might find it. We'll see, but I just don't understand the professional money coming in Arkansas State, man. Again, it is also, not only is it a fade spot for Arkansas State in the letdown, but for South Alabama, I mean, the fact that they're a favorite like this and they're 1-5 also is kind of telling you something. The odds makers are telling you they're the better team. So that's the way that it is. What am I doing the rest of the day? I don't know. Job hunting, trying to network call people because I'm like basically banned. I mean, yeah, I'm disagreeing with the money on some of these games here, which I don't love that situation. I'm not giving out a play on any of these. And then the last game of the night at 8 p.m., maybe the ugliest game, is Florida International, FIU, Florida, Illinois, for you old timers from my show here, at Western Kentucky at 8 p.m. on ESPNU. Western Kentucky's up from 7.5 to 10 here. 10-point favorite. They're definitely the better team, but they might be a little bit overvalued here. 57% of tickets on them, 79% of the cash coming back on FIU. So the money is coming in on FIU after the number was driven way up. I don't know if there's like a quarterback issue or what's going on. I don't really know why the line moved up like that. By the way, 2 high totals here too. And the Arkansas State-South Alabama game is all the way up to 58. But we have 58% of tickets on the over, 58% of the cash on the under in that game. So the money is coming back and taking the under, although I tend to hesitate to play unders in games with high totals like that. But that total does seem kind of high to me, man, for, I mean, a game where maybe both defenses are just that bad, Arkansas State and South Alabama, although I'm not sure because I don't think either offense is really that good either. So seems like a weirdly high total to me in that one, though. Tough read there, but again, I'm not really a totals guy. The total in this one has dropped. The one in FIU and Western Kentucky has dropped from 57.5 to 56. 71% of tickets, only 62% of the cash on the over. So the money's coming in the under in this game, too. I can kind of see the argument for that. FIU, I mean, they're just not a very good team in general. Their schedule so far, I mean, it hasn't been the most difficult schedule. I mean, obviously they played Penn State, so you didn't expect them to win that game, even though maybe you should have expected them now. No, not really. Penn State, I mean, I think Penn State just collapsed after they lost that game. They just stopped putting in effort. This Penn State team is not actually as bad as they look now. So FIU obviously couldn't expect them to win that game, but the rest of their schedule has been somewhat easy. And they lost pretty badly to Delaware and really badly to UConn last time out, which was last Saturday. So they've had the typical time off. You know, they didn't play this Saturday because it got shifted. Their game was shifted to a Tuesday game. Second straight road game, though, going to Western Kentucky. It's not going to be easy. And it does look like they have some quarterback situation here because Jenkins, who was their quarterback, I think, all of last year for the most part, he's a decent quarterback. It looks like he got hurt because they had Pizanski playing against UConn, which was a terrible game for them. So Jenkins might be hurt, so that might be why Western Kentucky is moving up from a 7.5 to 10-point favorite here. So something to keep in mind. If Jenkins is hurt, that's going to hurt FIU's offense even more, and their offense really isn't that great to begin with. Doesn't look like a great spot for them. Western Kentucky is the better of the two teams. They're 5-1, though, so they might be a little bit overvalued. People are going to see both teams just play Delaware. They both just played Delaware on the road, and Delaware annihilated FIU, but Western Kentucky beat Delaware. And, of course, everybody, I mean, we all know Western Kentucky is the better of these two teams, though. But I think people are going to look at that and maybe get the wrong impression and think Western Kentucky is that much better. And maybe there is just, you know, there is maybe a little bit of live value on FIU, especially if it is that injured player situation. Like if they lost Jenkins in their last game, which I guess we could look at real quick just to see if it's the injured player spot. Let me look at the box score for them against Delaware here. No, Jenkins played in that game, so I don't know. Maybe Jenkins, did Jenkins get hurt in the UConn game then? Which then would actually make this game the injured player spot. Yeah, it looks like he did, or they just took him out because it was a blowout. I'm not really sure. But if Jenkins is hurt now coming into this one. It does make it an injured player spot on Florida International, which would mean the team, I would look to see if that is the case, which would mean that FIU is going to maybe like step up their effort a little bit because their quarterback is now injured. So, I mean, that would explain the line move at the very least. And it would explain why the money's kind of coming in on the FIU side. So something to look into. Maybe that is the case. Western Kentucky, I mean, they've had a pretty easy schedule, though. They've beaten Sam Houston. They beat FCS North Alabama. I think that's an FCS team, right? Is it? Or are they FBS now? Yeah, they're FCS. They're in the UAC, or whatever the hell that conference is. They lost to Toledo on the road. Toledo's a solid team, maybe the best team in the MAC. And then they beat Nevada, Missouri State, and Delaware. Missouri State and Delaware are both new to FBS this year. They've been playing pretty competitively, though. And Western Kentucky only beat each of them by a little bit. But still, Western Kentucky, they have had a fairly easy schedule so far. They've been playing well, but they're mostly a passing attack, so they're pretty one-dimensional on offense. They don't run the ball very well. Their offense centers on Maverick McIver, who is one of the best he has one of the best quarterback names in college football. I mean, he's the guy. He does everything for them. But it is possible that FIU is able to slow them down a little bit. FIU's defense is not that bad, so I wouldn't necessarily disagree with an under in this one either, which is the way that it looks like the money is kind of coming in. And if it's going to be a lower scoring game, maybe it does make sense to maybe look towards taking the points with FIU as well. So I would slightly lean that way. Western Kentucky does have one extra day off because they played last Friday, but I don't think that really matters. And I actually thought that was a bad spot. I actually thought Delaware was the right side to cover that number, and Delaware was a favorite, so Delaware did not cover that number. But, you know, just all things to keep in mind. I actually probably prefer an under in this game to playing the side in this one, but I think FIU might make sense with the side there if they can kind of keep this game low scoring, keep it in check. But, yeah, definitely got to see what's going on with the FIU quarterback situation with Jenkins. Because I actually like the Florida International side a bit more if Jenkins is out, right? Like if it's an injured player spot, I think you'll get more effort out of them. And if Jenkins is playing, I actually probably like the under more because I think that will affect the total a little bit. And like they might just kind of like take their foot off the gas a little bit offensively. Although it's a big game for FIU though. Like they get to play at Western Kentucky in primetime. Western Kentucky is more used to playing isolated games like this than FIU is. FIU, I don't think gets to do it very often. So even though they're the road team, it might still pump them up a little bit. So that's it, man. I don't have any best bets today, but that's going to do it. Yes, sir. Good luck to all of you for whatever your plays are today. George Costanza, insult Craig Breslow for the Red Sox. I could do that. You know, when George insulted Steinbrenner, he was just firm and matter of fact, and he wasn't like actually like necessarily, well, he was insulting, but he did it in like a productive way. Well, I don't know. It was just a funny scene, man, where he just, sir, you know, what you've done with this, incredible organization, is just terrible, whatever the hell he said. Yeah. Steinbrenner, hire this man. Man. Be the Undertaker tonight. You're going to parlay the unders. Good luck with that. I recommend against parlays, but I mean, if you're just doing it for recreational purposes, I like it. Brian, what's up, man? Thanks for checking in here. Well, you should still get excited. It's me. We're talking about sports here, hopefully people get something out of it. Hopefully people like it. Brian, maybe you do like this, and maybe you'll come back. I don't know. Jordan, good to see you again as well. Thanks for hanging out. Right, that's why they wanted to hire George, because he was genuine. Although it was like just insulting enough for like the comedic effect, where it was like you think that Steinbrenner is gonna like be like, who is this guy? Like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then hire this man. Oh man, Seinfeld, amazing show, one of the best shows ever made, actually. First, like it was actually realistic. Like most sitcoms are just not realistic. Some of the good ones are realistic, at least in that they point out like very real things about life. But Seinfeld, maybe one of the most realistic, even though there was a lot of absurdity, just because like it was the show about nothing, where it was like every show, like all the characters just focused on some like minutia in life and like blew it out of proportion. And that is what people do. And basically every one of the characters is a horrible person except for Kramer. Kramer's just kind of a dumbass. But like I mean, that is kind of the way that life is. Like these are all just kind of bad people. Like they're all pretty much manipulative and whatever. It's more realistic. Peak TV. It was the '90s. Things were better than back then. You could get away with more stuff back then too. Like they were allowed to make like gay jokes and jokes about rape and whatever. I guess I don't know. Are we allowed to say that on YouTube? I don't know. Hopefully it's buried in the show enough. Hopefully nobody will see it. 3 psychopaths and a schizo. I don't know. And Newman was also a very bad guy as well. Kramer's a schizo, I guess. Kramer was the Mark Random of the show. That's going to do it, man. Learn to Tone on Twitter. Learn to Tone on Instagram. Subscribe to the show here on YouTube. Tell your friends, we're on audio. That helps out if you listen on audio and review on audio as well on iTunes and Spotify, or Apple and Spotify. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. Got to keep that up to date. That one is up to date right now, but my Patreon feed isn't. So I'm screwing the supporters, man, which I shouldn't be doing, obviously. I got to get back to the Patreon. It's a lot of effort, man. It kind of, I don't know. Everything starts to pile up, and I'm trying to do a bunch of shit. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. Got to get some more stuff there for the supporters, man. We'll see what I can do. It's bonus Uke content right now. Maybe I'll do like bonus live Uke streams. It's Tuesday. I was thinking Tuesday night Uke live request streams. Should I actually start that? Should I do it tonight? I got to think about it. It would be another thing on my plate, but I'll consider it. We'll figure it out. I think that's going to do it. And I forgot to mention, if people missed it, on a Friday night, I was on Tyler Yonke's show, the Libertarian Podcast Review, or whatever the hell he's calling it now. So you can check that out. So that was a fun time. That was a good show Friday night. He might have that up on the channel now. And then, what else do we have? We have upcoming, I think next Monday, I'm going to be on Nephilim Death Squad. I'm going to be on Neph to America, whatever their current event show is. So we're just going to riff on current events. So I'm going to be on their show next Monday, I believe, sometime in the afternoon, Eastern time. So that's going to happen as well. Get some merch. I think there is actually some merch. If you go to Top Lobster's site, I think he has a Better Off Dead shirt. Is it still up there? I don't know. I think he took the Tower Gang stuff down, which was very sad. I want Tower Gang back. Marshall, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Marshall, our Cocktober overall winner. Dude, it's Cocktober this month, and we have no more cocks to rate, man. So Marshall was the second and final winner of Cocktober, and the winner of overall Cocktober. I'll give it to you. I'm sorry to Raven, but Marshall nailed the creativity of that. So I think Raven would still agree. We got to give it to Marshall. And if you guys would have seen Marshall's entry live if you went to a Bohemian Grove, number 2 is where we did the reveal in front of a room of about 100 people. Thank you, Charles. Yes, sir. The Tyler show, or Nephilim Death Squad. Tyler's should be out now because it was Friday. The Nephilim Death Squad one will be next Monday, I believe. Yep, yeah, the hot dog, the big, thick, juicy wiener. That's right. All right, and a hot dog as well. That's going to do it, man. Everybody have a good Tuesday, and we'll be back. I don't skip too many days. Like, I really thought I was going to have at least one hockey play today, but I just don't love the board, man. So don't want to force anything. So we're going to pass and move on to tomorrow, and that'll do it for now. Enjoy the games. Good luck with all your bets, and peace for now. Or you're gonna post one? Oh my God. I said I was gonna post mine, my entry into. I was gonna post my entry from number 1, the original year of Cocktober. I entered myself into it. I said I was gonna post it when I hit 20,000 Twitter followers. I don't know, man. Maybe Marshall and I will both post stars. I don't know. We'll figure something out. I don't want to get people's hopes up. I don't know if I really want to do it. Rangers team total over. Yeah, I mean, that is the way that I would play that game, but that's just, I mean, I'm not really much of a team totals guy, so hopefully I'm not way off on that. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out this morning. Peace.